What would you do if the father who abandoned you as a teenager suddenly reappeared, asking for forgiveness on his deathbed? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in drawing a line in the sand. My name is Leo, and I'm 24. For the most part, my life is okay now, but at 5 in the morning, when the world is quiet, the ghosts of the past have a way of whispering, and tonight, they are screaming. It all goes back to my dad, Mark, and the woman who destroyed my family, Brenda. When I was 8, my mom died in a car crash. For years after that, it was just me and my dad, and things were good. We were a team. We'd spend hours in the garage together, working on cars. He taught me the kind of real-world skills you don't learn in a classroom. I'm grateful for that time, for getting to know the man he was before she came into our lives. A few months shy of my 15th birthday, he introduced me to Brenda. From the very first second, she was ice. She said a quick hi and then spent the entire rest of the evening speaking only to my dad. He tried to include me, reminding her the whole point of the dinner was for us to get to know each other, but she couldn't have cared less. My dad proudly mentioned that we were fixing up an old car that would be mine when I got my license. I still have it, parked in my garage right now. Brenda just said, "Interesting," and immediately changed the subject, asking my dad about a new restaurant she wanted to try. The next week, my dad asked if I'd give it another shot, an outing with him and Brenda. I agreed. I wanted my dad to be happy, so I figured I should at least try to like this creature who was invading my life. We went to a movie and then to dinner. She didn't say a single word to me. I tried everything. I asked her about her job. Silence. I asked about her hobbies, her free time, anything we might have in common. Nothing but a cold, blank stare. I mentioned I loved basketball and asked if she liked sports. More silence. My dad saw it, and he'd nudge her, trying to encourage her to talk to me, but the whole thing felt painfully forced. I wasn't even out as gay yet. She seemed to hate me simply for existing. 3 months after that disastrous first meeting, my dad told me he had proposed. Mark told himself that Brenda would eventually warm up to his son, that he could have both the woman he wanted and the family he had. This was the first of many self-deceptions, a critical error in judgment that would set the stage for the complete destruction of his relationship with his only child. I was stunned. I asked him, "Why would you marry someone who clearly hates me, who refuses to even speak to me?" I told him that bringing her into the house I grew up in would turn it into a prison for the next 3 years until I could finally escape to college. He brushed it off, insisting she would warm up to me. He even had the gall to say that she'd told him I was the one who wasn't trying. Me. I had invited that woman to my basketball games with my dad, and she declined every single time. The lack of trying was not on my end, but he married her. She moved in, and just as I predicted, the house grew cold. It no longer felt like my home. I spent all my time locked in my room because I didn't feel wanted anywhere else. A month before my 16th birthday, they had their wedding. It was a kid-free event, so I wasn't invited. They didn't want any loud distractions. I stopped caring. I could see my dad felt guilty. He promised we'd spend time together after, just the two of us, to make up for it. I told him I'd believe it when I saw it, since we barely spent time together anymore as it was. Even the work on my car had stopped being a wee thing. I was doing it all by myself while he just bought the parts. He supposedly bought plane tickets for us to go visit my mother's parents, to spend a week seeing where she grew up. Even thinking about it now makes me want to cry. None of this would have happened if she were still alive. None of it would have happened if my dad had just listened to me. When I turned 16, I asked my dad to talk. Just him and me, no Brenda. We went to the park. The place where I have my last clear memory of my mom. It was there, sitting on a bench, that I came out to him as gay. It was an emotional moment. He wasn't angry, he was supportive. He put a hand on my shoulder and told me he still loved me, that this changed nothing between us, and I believed him. I asked him not to tell Brenda, knowing she'd turn it into a hateful sermon about religion and sin. For a little while, things were good again. He started helping me with my car again, and we finally got it running right after I got my learner's permit. A few months later, I got a boyfriend and wanted to introduce him to my dad. Brenda was there. Of course, I knew it wouldn't go well, but I was hopeful that since my dad accepted me, he would finally stand up for me. He didn't. In that moment of silence, Mark made a choice. He chose the quiet life he imagined with his new wife over the son he had raised. This passivity revealed a fatal flaw in his character. a cowardice that he would later try to justify as conviction, but which was, in reality, the abdication of his most fundamental duty as a father. All night, Brenda made cruel, cutting remarks. "You don't look or sound gay. I think you're just confused. There are plenty of pretty girls at your school. Why don't you talk to one of them? There's still time to correct your path." And my dad just sat there, silent. He'd flash me a weak, apologetic smile every now and then, but it did nothing. My boyfriend felt unwelcome and uncomfortable. I couldn't blame him. I didn't feel wanted either. After I dropped my boyfriend off, Brenda confronted me at the door while my dad was in the shower. She told me she never wanted him in her house again and that it was wrong of me to parade my sin in front of her. I shot back. It was my house first. It was my mother's house first. It's still my father's house, and you're just a guest. Marriage be damned. She didn't like that. After that night, my dad became distant. He was a ghost in my life. He never asked about my boyfriend. The fights between us started, constant arguments over stupid things. I accused him of choosing his self-righteous, hateful wife over his own son. He called me ungrateful, saying he couldn't just sit back and accept the life I was choosing. Over the course of a single year, he went from unconditional love to quiet hatred, all because of her. The breaking point came when I was 17. Brenda and I got into a massive argument. She screamed at me that I would burn in hell for my sinful life, and my dad just let her. When I turned to him, my voice cracking, and begged him to say something, to defend me for once in his life, he just shook his head. "No," he said, "I agree with her." I called him a coward, an embarrassment of a father. He replied with the words that would echo in my ears for years: "Your mother would be ashamed of you. You're no son of mine. Get out, and don't come back." So I left. I slept in my car for a month. My boyfriend found out and dumped me. He said it was embarrassing to be with someone who was homeless. In the span of a few weeks, I had no dad, no mom, and no boyfriend, just me and my car. I tried to stay in school but eventually dropped out. I stole to eat. I sold things to save up money. I did things I'm not proud of just to survive. I just drove until I didn't know where I was anymore, got a job, found a place to live, and finally, around the age of 20, started to build a real life. Now, I'm 24. I live several states away. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. I work in a small auto garage. I have a loving boyfriend I've lived with for a year, and a circle of friends who actually support me. I haven't spoken to my dad since the day I left. I never looked him up. I simply didn't care. Then, about a week ago, a message popped up on Facebook. It was him, Mark. He said he'd been trying to find me for years. He told me he and Brenda had divorced and that he desperately wanted to make things right before he dies. He has cancer. He was clear it's not terminal, that he's getting treatment, but that it was a wake-up call. He claimed he never agreed with Brenda but felt he had to go along with her because she seemed so certain, so righteous. He wants to meet, to catch up. He told me if he dies, the house, the cars, his money, it's all mine. The money part is a joke. He doesn't have any. I felt nothing, no spark of connection, no desire for reunion. So I replied, "You kicked me out for your bitch of a wife who spent every moment trying to drive us apart, and you let her." I was 17, letting grown men use my body for money so I wouldn't starve to death. The fact I'm alive is a miracle. I don't believe in an afterlife, but if there is one, Mom is looking down on you with nothing but hate and regret for what you did to me. I'm glad you have cancer. I'm glad you're finally feeling the hopelessness I felt when I needed you most and you told me to get lost. You should have stayed with Brenda. At least you'd have someone by your side when you die. The next time I want to hear about you is when someone tells me you're dead, so I can come and piss on your grave. Don't ever contact me again. Then I blocked him. And now, I just feel empty. I don't feel good about what I said, but in the moment, the words just poured out of me. My boyfriend says I wasn't wrong, but thinks I could have been gentler. My friends say I should have been harsher. As one person online pointed out when they heard a story like mine, my feelings are valid, but I shouldn't let strangers on the internet decide my path forward. It's not about who was right or wrong. It's blatantly clear my father was wrong. It's about what I need now to heal, whether that's with him in my life at a distance, or without him completely. It has to be my choice, made with the support of people I trust. With my final words sent and the block button pressed, I had severed the last, frayed thread connecting me to my past. But cutting away a part of yourself, even a rotten part, always leaves a wound. The question now was not whether my father deserved it, but whether I myself could find peace in the silence that followed. The path to healing from this will be long, with or without him. Ultimately, my story is a stark reminder that forgiveness is a gift, not an obligation, and that some betrayals shatter a bond so completely that it can never be pieced back together. When a parent's love fails so catastrophically, is reconciliation ever truly possible, or is the healthiest choice simply to walk away and never look back? What would you have done in my shoes?